It's a client that I've had that suffers from keloids. And just looking up quickly what a keloid scar is, it's when the scar keeps growing and becomes bigger than the original wound. So typically it will happen from cuts, burns, surgeries, acne, or body piercings. I do believe it's when your body produces too much collagen. So collagen is what heals wounds, and the collagen goes to that area and it's just excess of collagen. So then it becomes this big bump. And it really is life altering in the sense that you really can't cover it up, and then it becomes almost like a nervous tick to touch it and play with it. So you'll have people just touching it and playing with it. Now a lot of times I see keloids on the back of the head or different parts of the head, and then also like underneath the chin where people would typically shave. And then in the back of the head, I had a client who told me that it happened from him kind of trying out a new barber, and the barber just kind of did a bad job and they felt like it started bumping, and then that turned into bigger scarring. But I also do believe that even when you go to the barber could cut it and maybe you get a bump or two, especially with the electric shaver. The electric shaver is a bump creator. The big thing I do think is the bacteria that you will take from your hands and touch on that keloid with. I think that is a major cause for concern and infection. And not only that, but dirty pillowcases, dirty sheets, dirty collars. A lot of people, the collars on their shirts are dirty. Hats, I mean, we can go on scarves. So anyways, this client had a keloid issue, and what you're gonna see here is they had surgery to remove the actual keloid. So this is after post-surgery. This is what they're looking like. So we started off and we elected to do patches. All right, so we patched up the sides. Now with the patches, it was very tough, but again, with my experience now, thank God I have this experience, I was able to match the color, the texture, and the density. The big thing was the hair density, because if I put the wrong density on, which we tested with one, it looks too different from his actual hair. So we rocked this. We did this for about, I believe, I want to say a year and a half. And after a year and a half, I was just kind of like, why don't we just work on creating something a full piece for you, where we can create more consistency. Because I noticed when cutting his hair that there was various light spots. And I didn't know at the time, but he had keloids all over his scalp. I did not know that. We'll get to that in a second. But I noticed when I was doing his fades and whatnot, there was just so many light spots in different areas. So it would be dense maybe at the top, and then just a massive light spot here. And then I filled in the back piece, I filled in the side piece. But I didn't like the lack of consistency around his head. So I decided to go with the full piece. So I designed the complete full piece for him. All the sizing, everything is to his exact measurements. During the application, the big thing was when I shaved his head, I noticed that, okay, I gotta be gentle with everything, because there was keloids pretty much up until that front hairline point. I was just so caught off guard that it could spread that big, and to the point where it was irritating, and it was very uncomfortable for him to walk around, and it definitely becomes an insecurity. So what I did, we covered it up, as you can see here. Let me know what you think in the comments. We put together a masterpiece. This is luxury at its finest. And all the same density all around the head, same color, outline is perfect. And what's interesting is his whole outline for this haircut is his actual hair. So it is his actual hair. It's just the density and the middle portion, the back portion, the sides, that is the unit. So this came out really well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Understanding that it's more than just gluing hair to your head. It is really creating something that is made and designed for you. So color-wise, which is relatively easy to pick the right color. Texture-wise, that's where it starts getting a little difficult, because you gotta match the exact curl pattern. There's not one exact curl pattern for for white, black, Asian types of people. Every single person has a different curl DNA. And that's what I'm trying to match with. And when you wet it, I want it all to curl the same way, whether it's your hair or the unit. And then finally, the big thing is density. And this is the hardest thing. You gotta make sure that it's not too thick or too thin. You know, and the challenge sometimes is when it's thinner, we have to use units that don't have as much hair, but then that also leads to units that don't last as long. So instead of having a unit where this unit that he has right here, this should minimum last him up to 6 months. But that 6 months with proper care. But when it's thinner, when I have to do something that's a lot thinner, a lot more precise, like the patches I did, we're looking at 3 months. And he pushed 6 months with some of these patches, but more or less 3 months, you know, and they'll be different depending on how you brush them, comb them, whatnot. How long these units last is entirely dependent on the client, because the client's going to be living with it for the next few months. And if they don't know how to comb properly, they don't know how to brush properly, they don't know how to wash properly, if they don't know how to properly wrap their head or restyle their hair, because at night if you have to wear a do-rag or you want to wear a bonnet, you wake up in the morning, you have to know how to restyle these things. Now with that being said, thank you for watching the video. If you want to book an appointment with me, hit the link in the description, www.dabs.ca. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But other than that, if you want to contact me, the link is in the description. Take crumbs, make bread.
25-8, we do this shit, ain't no breaks.